I was brought through a really scary journey, and it had to do with people that I love and cared about in my real life. And when I tell you it felt real, like it was a tragic event that happened that felt real. After the journey, I was like, oh my gosh, is this spirit preparing me for what's going to happen? And
welcome to the Multiple Truths podcast. We're your hosts, Holly
and Brittany. This is a space where we can come together healing in community, where we share our self-love journeys, insights, and wisdom.
A space with no hierarchy or judgment, fostering love, compassion, and respect, and where we honor our differences. With open minds and hearts, everyone's truth is welcome here. We are in this together.
Let's dive into the episode.
Hello and welcome back. You're here with Holly and Brittany today. We are together again. Oh my coffee.
Excuse me.
We are together again in Vancouver. And yeah, we're just hanging out this morning. We're having some technical difficulties, but we're going to get through it.
Yeah, I'm afraid to move my mic because it's not registering into my laptop. It keeps disconnecting. So this is the farthest we've made it before. This has been 20 takes?
Yeah, we're having a bit of a chaotic morning. Oh my God. Earlier, I went to go make a smoothie bowl.
Oh my God.
And it was blueberries, banana, mango, but there was a lot of blueberries in there. And it's one of those Vitamix where you put the little ladle in there to mash it down. And Brittany had
mine's broken. I broke it.
So I took the lid off and I was trying to use a spoon, and the spoon got caught in the blade and literally exploded purple, all blueberry purple all over Brittany's apartment.
All over the ceiling, all over the counters.
Everything's white here. So everything was just dyed blue, purplish.
We have some stains on the ceiling.
Oh my God. So right before that was this morning, needing to clean all that off, and then
the mic issues. If I keep looking this way, if you're watching, it's because I'm is my mic plugged in? It's fine now, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it, but
yeah,
anyways, we're good.
We're on the upswing now.
Deep breaths, right?
Yeah, we've gone through some trials and tribulations, the ups and downs, and we're here.
We're here.
That's all that matters.
We're gonna bang out a few episodes for you today.
Yeah, I'm excited. So today I just feel like this is a really important topic right now, because Brittany and I talk a lot about plant medicine, because plant medicine has been so crucial, I feel for both of our growth. And we just talk about it a lot, but I really want to have a balanced approach when it comes to this, because I know for me, I'm meant to be an advocate for plant medicine. I feel that. I've felt that for a while now. I'm really meant to be an advocate, because I've gotten the message many times that plant medicine is how we are going to end the mental health crisis. It's Western and Eastern medicine coming together and really coming together for the purpose of healing, so we can really create change, and people can build that connection back with themselves and really truly heal, and not just put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
But with that said, I also know that plant medicine is not for everyone.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before a bit, but I just want to have a really balanced approach when it comes to plant medicine, because again, we talk about it a lot, almost in all of the podcasts. There's a little sprinkle of plant medicine. And yeah, I just want to really make it known that it is not for everyone.
Yeah. I want to say what keeps coming to mind is there is no one right way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And just because we talk about plant medicine, that is not the only thing that has supported me. You can absolutely heal and come home to yourself and learn how to love yourself and see your shadows without plant medicine. And that's what I did for majority of my journey as well. It's not necessary.
There's so many different modalities that can really support you along your journey. And I feel like finding what works best for you ultimately is what is most important, and I know that we've had a lot of guests on this channel that talk about, or on this podcast that talk about, different modalities. And I'm hoping to have other people come and talk about other modalities that can support you along your healing, self-love, growth journey. Like Holly, I also do believe that I am meant to be an advocate for plant medicine. Truly, it has changed my life, and I honor it. I respect it. I honor the teachers. With that said, all roads lead to the same place. All roads are different shoes, different different shoe sizes, you know, some people are, some people are walking, running, jogging, a little mix of everything depending on where you're at, what season you're in. And there is no one right way. So with that, you know, and Two of Pentacles is coming. I'm seeing the Two of Pentacles in my mind's eye, which is all about balance too.
Balance. Because it's like you can get almost too into plant medicine and rely too heavily on it. And I just want to have a balanced approach when it comes to talking about it, because like Brittany, I have the utmost respect for these plants. Like I have the utmost respect, and when I take them, it is very ceremonial. It is not recreational to me. And I feel like a lot of people take them recreationally, and that's okay if that's a part of your journey, but that's a part of like the misuse of the plant medicine and where it's like skewing the medicine aspect of it. But I believe that everyone's on their own path and on their own journey, and you get what you need when you do them recreationally as well.
I feel like everyone is exactly where they need to be and will get exactly what they need to, they will receive exactly what they need to receive regardless of the environment, situation, circumstance. With that said, you know, plant medicine, there definitely, I mean, there's a light and dark to everything. And plant medicine is a very powerful tool, but with that, you know, because it can be such a light, it can be very dark as well.
There is a dark side to plant medicine, and I feel like specifically on my journey, I know you've gotten this as well, like I've really had to like see the dark side of plant medicine too, because as an advocate you have to know all sides. I feel like I have to see all sides, and I've seen the really bright, beautiful side, but I've also seen the dark side. And it's very important to bring to light the dark and not just think it's this airy fairy beautiful thing. It's like we have to talk about both, and it needs to be balanced and like used as a tool and really not be overused.
And something that's coming to mind too, especially if you are a healer, teacher, coach of any sort, is not to push it on people, because you know, you might, like I myself, I know how much it's changed my life. And when you care about other people, it can be easy to be like, oh my gosh, do this, right? Like it changed my life. Like it'll be good for you too. And it's meeting people where they're at. It is so important that a person is ready before doing plant medicine. So it's like you might intuitively know that it might be really good for them, but maybe that's not for another 5 years down the road. You know,
because it can be really dangerous if people are not ready for plant medicine and do not have the support system in place to support them with really integrating and reflecting on what it is that came through. It can actually do way more harm than good. And that's the, you know, one of the dark aspects to it.
You know, with that, I actually feel called to talk about a personal experience that I had recently. I spoke to Holly about this a few weeks ago. I felt called to a journey, a psilocybin journey, and I have chills as I'm thinking about this. Speaking of this, I did the journey, and oh my God, like, oh my goodness. I'm going to try my best to articulate it without getting into detail of what the journey was, but it was a really hard journey. And through the journey, I had to really remind myself that what was going on was not real. I was so close to calling my family, and like I felt like I needed to warn them about something, because my ego, like with what was coming through, it was so intense and it felt so real. It really it's like I needed to remind myself, Brittany, this is a journey. This is not real. Because in that moment, if I hadn't done plant medicine before, you know, like I really can understand how it can make people seem crazy, if that makes sense. And I remember after the journey, you know, after sitting with it and integrating and reflecting, I understand why I needed to go through that journey, and it was divine, and I needed to. With that said, it really was confusing to me. Like, is this something that's like it I felt like, I don't even know how to explain it without getting into detail of the journey. Like, it's hard to kind of articulate, but I really understood how it can really like psychosis is coming to mind. Like, if you don't have the proper supports in place, because often with these messages is they're not literal. They're often metaphorical. And sometimes I was brought through a really scary journey, and it had to do with people that I love and cared about in my real life. And when I tell you, it felt real, like it was a tragic event that happened that felt real. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to warn my family about this. This is going to happen. And then, through the journey, this tragic event happened. And after the journey, I was like, oh my gosh, is this spirit preparing me for what's going to happen? And you know what I mean? My ego was skewing the message.
Yeah.
And through reflection and everything and integration, I was able to really realize like, okay, no, like it's not so literal, yada, yada, yada. And I actually reached out to one of my mediumship mentors, and I felt really called to reach out to her. And I was like, hey, this is what happened. I'm curious of what your perspective is, because I know you have a very grounded perspective, and what she brought to me really helped me. It really helped ground me and understand what I went through. With that said, if you're just, about to do plant medicine for the first time and you experience something like that, it can really alter your perception in a skewed way.
Yeah, it can really like rock your world and make you even like live more in fear afterwards, and like be very fearful and on edge and think things are going to happen and think things are real when it's not really real. It's like really needing to have a support system in place too, of people that can help you unravel and interpret what was coming through, because again, these plants are not, these are like indigenous plants. Like we need people that are trained professionals also being able to like help you understand the deeper messages, because especially with ayahuasca, with psilocybin, these plants are not, we don't know the half of what these plants are trying to communicate with us. So, and also like, if you are going to do it, it's like really needing to be self-reflective and integrate, because a lot of the times these experiences happen and then it's just like that happened and then not even thinking about it. And it's like really seeing the deeper messages within everything that's being shown to you. But with that said, it takes a lot of self-reflection, a lot of like journaling, meditating, talking about it with someone that you trust. And it's not just like a one-time thing that like thinking it's going to be this like mystical experience, because oftentimes it's not really, some of the time it's mystical, other times it's really heavy and dark, and processing it as you can. And
what's coming to mind too is plant medicine. And I do think this is a beautiful thing. It is becoming more widely accepted. With that said, it is unregulated. And unfortunately, like Holly said, these are indigenous plants. We need people who have been taught and trained, who are in integrity, serving these medicines. Because if it's in the wrong hands, and unfortunately, there are a lot of people who, it's in the wrong hands, people who are not in integrity, and you're in such a vulnerable state when you are on the medicine.
And the reason I feel called to have this conversation is because I feel a responsibility. If I'm going to be talking about this, I almost feel uncomfortable talking about it now, because I don't feel like there's enough facilitators out there that are in integrity. And I cannot recommend, I can't, it's like feeling that sense of like, I can't recommend people for you to go to. So like, obviously when you hear us talking about it, I'm sure some of you are like, oh, I would love to try it. But then it's like, it's like almost feeling like I don't want to talk about it as much, because it is not regulated. And there are a lot of facilitators out there that are in it for the money and that are not in integrity. And sometimes unnowingly,
often unknowingly. Most of the time it's unknowingly.
Like it starts from a really good place. But again, it's you are so vulnerable doing these things, and you need facilitators that can really hold the space, hold it for you. And what else is coming to mind, not only the facilitators, but people who grow the medicine. There's an energy behind it. If they're in an energy of wanting to make money, that affects the medicine, that it has a darker energy around it. So it goes, of course, the facilitators that need to hold the space, that's super crucial, but it goes even deeper than that. And thankfully, with the plant medicine that I've done, I've been with facilitators that have been in integrity, and I'm so grateful for that. But this is a conversation that I've had with so many people in the community now at this time, because it's like specifically the people that feel really called to like be an advocate. It's like, it almost feels uncomfortable right now.
No, 100%.
Because it's like, what, like not wanting to send someone to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And because it's dangerous.
Yeah, it is dangerous. It is dangerous. Like, and you know, just a little trigger warning here. You know, just a little trigger warning. I know I've heard stories where people go into these ceremonies. They are not ready for it. They don't have facilitators that are able to hold the container, and people later on end up committing suicide. People end up in psych wards. Spiritual psychosis. Like, it can be dangerous.
And this is not to cause fear. Yeah. This is awareness, understanding, using your own discernment, seeing the light and the dark side, and then using your own discernment. It's like really needing to just bring, because we oftentimes, I mean, we talked a lot about the importance of integration, but I feel like it's really important to talk about this too. Yeah.
And something that, you know, I really want to say, we are not trying to cause fear, you know,
not.
But it's, you know, for me, the medicine has found me. Mm-hmm. It has found me, and I was at a place where I trusted my intuition enough to trust when it came to me, trust that my spirit team, they were leading me to people in integrity. So why I'm saying that is, if you're meant to do plant medicine, it will find you. Trust the signs. You know, it's getting yourself to a place where you're able to trust yourself. If it comes to you, it's like, okay, is this being sent to me? And trusting that your guides will lead you to a place that is, you know, safe for you.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, don't search for it. If you're searching for it, that's when potentially you can, you know, you can find it, but you might find something that's not so light, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. And something I want to say too is, like, talking around with people around, like, if you are even seeking out this medicine, like I said, the medicine, Brittany, it came to Brittany, it also came to me too. I didn't go out seeking for it. But also before going to a ceremony, I spoke with people that have also worked with that same facilitator that had a good experience, where I'm like, no, you can trust them. Like, they are in integrity, you know, they can hold the space. They've been doing this for a while. They are trained professionals. They have gone out and done training in the Amazon or in Peru or wherever it may be. I think it's really important to make sure, like, speaking with other people that have worked with those same facilitators and like been around the medicine, to know that yes, I've had a really good experience with them.
Yeah, 100%. And what's coming to mind as well, I know Holly has gotten this message, we've been getting this message about, and this is not me saying that men should not be working in this space. This is not me saying that at all, but we've been getting the message that Mother Aya, for example, ayahuasca, is really excited to be in the hands of women again. Female shamans, because, you know, this ties into the patriarchy with, you know, men kind of taking over all facets of life. You know, women, we have literal portals within us. I feel like, you know, not saying men should be completely staying away, but
we worked with men that are definitely in
integrity. Yeah. Yes. So I do want to acknowledge that. Yeah. However, it really should be there's like I don't want to say a darkness with that, but it needs to change.
Well, I feel like it needs to be balanced, because specifically when it comes to who we work with ayahuasca, it's a male and female.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful, balanced ceremony, because it's the masculine and the feminine. They feed off of each other. It's this beautiful energy.
Yes. Right now it's like a male dominated space, and she's excited to be back in the hands of women, but with that balance, it's like the men and the women, but respecting women shamans, you know, and it's, you know, this makes me think of religion too, right? It's like always priests that are male, and it's like it's bringing back
female
the women,
wisdom, the intuition, the wisdom. It just needs to be more balanced. I feel that strongly. Which I feel like we're heading that way. I do feel 100%. Like we're heading that way, absolutely. But something else that came through to me is oftentimes in this space, you can give your power away to plant medicine. It's like thinking that you need the plants in order to continue to heal or see what you need to see. And yes, it does help you see what you need to see. Yes, it is so powerful and beautiful and can crack down those walls and help build that connection back to yourself, give you the connection back to yourself and really see yourself. But you do not need it. And this message was coming through so strongly on one of my last ceremonies of like, why are we giving our power away to these plants? Because they don't want that either. But there is the dark side where it's like, oh, give me more. It can almost become an addiction. It becomes dependency, its own crutch and addiction. And it can get, that's where it's like needing to have the balance, because that can get really dark in and of itself. It can get, and placing these plants on a pedestal where it's like, no, they have wisdom, respect these plants, but do not place them on a pedestal.
And it's also like craving those mystical experiences, because earth is hard at the end of the day. It is hard here, but it's the balance. It's being rooted and grounded in this physical human experience. Yes, if you feel called to plant medicine, you know, having those mystical experiences, but sometimes when a person does plant medicine and they experience this mystical experience, it's like they use it as an escape, you know, to escape this human reality. And that's where it can get dangerous as well, that dependency, using it as a crutch, you know, that sort of a thing. Looking to connect with like-minded community on your journey of self-growth, self-love, and spiritual discovery? Join the Beehive, a supportive community hosted by Holly and I, designed to help you on your personal transformation and healing journey, and to help you tap into your innate wisdom. With live monthly Q&A sessions, exclusive content, and a like-minded community, the Beehive is the perfect space to grow and step into your most authentic self. For more information and to sign up, check the link in the show notes.
Yeah, because I just listened, Dr. Gabor Mate, I love him so much. He does a lot of work with like people that struggle with addiction and is a really big advocate and helps people, you know, he's just like such an incredible soul. If you haven't heard of him, definitely look into him. But he was just interviewed and he was talking about psychedelics, how it can really help people with addiction. And he had his own experience with ayahuasca and it was beautiful. And he was saying people can't really get addicted to plant medicine, like specifically ayahuasca, just like with the taste of it, like you can't really get addicted. But what people do get addicted to is the mystical, wanting those mystical experiences.
It's like an escape.
Yes. Another survival strategy, another like escaping this real world, which that's where it's like, we need to, it's safe for you to be here, like having those experiences, and they are beautiful and they are mystical. And I feel like it really opened me up to like my ancestors and my higher self and all of that. And it's been beautiful, but a lot of the times it's hard.
It's like these experiences are meant to help us be here,
to help us remember why we are here.
Yes. Not to escape this reality. It's remembering that we chose to be here and acknowledging, yes, earth is hard, and these plants, they are meant to help us come back to ourselves so that we can navigate this difficult human experience.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think if you find yourself just like craving the next journey, that's where it's like really needing to step away from plants altogether and being like, can I just like rely on myself?
Yes.
And that's actually where someone who I've met along this path, like that's exactly where he is right now. He needed to really he really dove into the plants because it's a form of therapy. You know, he really dove into them, and now he's feeling like, I don't need them anymore. I think it's time for me to really implement what I've learned and like just focus on like integration and would not using the plants anymore. And I don't think he doesn't feel called to the plants anymore,
because all of these lessons that you do learn on the plants, they're amazing, but like we talked about in one of our other episodes that we did together, the true healing happens through human experience, through experience this world, relationships, community. So you can learn all of these things and have these mystical experiences, but without implementing it in this physical world, you're not actually growing. growing. You know, it's one thing to know something and it's another thing to embody that.
Yeah.
So it's really going back to the integration, and it's rooted. It's being rooted and grounded, and really not losing sight of that, because it can be easy to. I know, like, I slipped into that for a little bit when I was really heavy on my journey, just being completely transparent and honest with you guys. I went through a really intense awakening, and I know it's different for everybody. And I'm saying this because I know that others of you are also going to, maybe are on a really intense awakening journey. So I hear you, I get you, I understand you, I see you, because I've been there, and I get it. And I fell into a little bit of that dependency, craving the specifically like psilocybin, like craving it a little bit too much. And I, in hindsight, in reflection, I realized that I was using it as an escape. I was using it as an escape. And, you know, through more healing and integration, I'm now very grounded, and I can say that, and I know that I'm very grounded. I can say that confidently. But when I was really on my journey, I was not grounded. I was going through it. It was a lot. It was heavy. It was, I can't even put it to words. If you've been on that journey, you understand. But it's having grace with yourself too, because it is super intense, you know, which is also why community is so important. This remaining rooted and grounded in this human experience is really important. Like I get it, and I just want to say it's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's something to be aware of.
Yeah, that's where it comes with really being honest with yourself, really being honest with your relationship, if you are using plant medicine or if you're not using it, you know. But if you are using it, being very honest with yourself, with your relationship with it, and feeling like, do you need it to feel it? And that's, again, going back to what we've talked about before, being like this constant project that you feel like you are your own constant project. It's like needing that next journey to like open up a new thing for you to work through. I think we can get really caught up in like feeling like we constantly need to do the work, do more to be good enough.
Yeah.
And it's just being honest with yourself in those moments and knowing you are exactly where you need to be. You already have everything you need within you. You don't need these plants to access anything. But they are a tool.
And something I want to go off of that, because like you said, it's like, you know, the healing journey, you could get stuck on that cycle, but also like another side of this, people feel like they need to do plant medicine to maybe tap into their spiritual gifts more. Oh, I need this to activate something within me. You know what I'm saying?
Even with weed, yes.
With weed as well. Yeah. And it's like, you don't need any substance to quote unquote activate something within you.
Away.
That's giving your power away. You know, it's like,
and what you think creates
your reality.
If you think that you need those things, then you are going to you will need those things to do it. You already can.
Absolutely. So it's like, you know, again, plant medicine changed my life. I am forever grateful for it. Like, I truly believe that it saved me. With that said, you know, and I know Holly and I, we've both seen the darkness to it. I know I myself fell in a little, you know, luckily it wasn't for too long or anything like that, but I was, you know, leaning on the medicine a little bit too much, using it as an escape, and then pulling away. You know, there was a period where I totally pulled away, and I was like, no more for a while, and really taking the time to come back, ground, be human, integrate, and really realizing that all of these things, you know, like tarot cards, medicine, they're all tools that can aid you on your journey. But once you're giving your power away, you know, it can be dangerous. So it's just being not being ashamed, but just being very honest.
Yeah, and just showing yourself so much compassion and grace. And the growth, again, like we talked about, the growth happens after ceremony anyway, like the integration. It's in your daily habits and routines and what you're doing, like showing up for yourself, integrating the things that you learned. So again, it's not even these ceremonies can give you access to things that maybe your mind has subconsciously suppressed. Like if you have a sexual assault, or so that comes up a lot for people, like remembering something that happened to them, or remembering a traumatic event that they have suppressed so they can finally process it. That typically happens. Or really connecting to your inner child, or like these young wounds, like that happens. But again, like you can access those things outside of medicine, and it's like really just showing up for yourself and taking care of yourself and coming back home to yourself, which I was doing that for at least 5 years before I was even introduced to plant medicine. And I think that got to a really beautiful baseline, and then the plants helped bring me deeper, which again I'm so incredibly grateful for. But I really feel like I have a really balanced approach when it comes to plants, because again I'm like really seeing that it is not for everyone, and if you are not ready, it is just, it can do way more harm than good. And just with it not being so regulated right now, I just feel like I've gotten the message that like 5-6 years down the road, it will be more like accepted from people, and like it'll be because it's picking up traction right now. Like more and more people are talking about plants, but I feel like I just hope that it doesn't go the opposite way where it becomes a money thing. Because even in a show that I was watching, Industry, which is a really popular show, I believe it's on HBO, but they go to a really wealthy guy goes to an ayahuasca ceremony. He doesn't respect the medicine. He goes in, and one of the guy that he took like got a beautiful journey, reconnected with his mom that had passed away. The other one like was like laughing demonically the whole time. It was really weird. And then after ceremony, the guy who didn't respect the medicine said, "Oh man, we have to monetize this. We have to figure out how to monetize this."
Yeah, I have chills.
Because it's this ayahuasca, like these medicines, like there are people that are going there. You can have beautiful experiences, but I feel like it's going to become this easy money monetization because it like more and more people are talking about their experiences. But that's why it's important that it does get regulated. And we do have facilitators that are getting really trained and rooted in the heart space when it comes to this, because it's a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing. But as with anything, when it comes to money, we ruin it a bit. But like I just feel like I just want to start these kinds of conversations, because I just want you all, if you feel called to the medicine, that's beautiful and it's great, but just really be mindful of who you are seeking advice from, who you are feeling called to go to, trusting yourself. And I feel called to talk about like facilitators that try to get romantically involved.
Oh, I have chills. Interesting.
Because that can happen. I've heard it happen with
manipulation.
Yes, it becomes like manipulation. It becomes putting them on a pedestal.
Yeah, and you know what's even coming to mind? It's like similar going to a therapist. It's like somebody in a position of power taking advantage of somebody coming to them who is very vulnerable. Yes. It is easy to manipulate.
It's like making sure there's always stays a professional demeanor. Like it doesn't cross any lines, because you can be very vulnerable. I've heard it happen to many women specifically.
Especially because when you are open on plant medicine, you see the person for their soul more. You're able to see them past the ego. You're able to see past their masks. So it's easy to fall in love to whatever, to when you're in those states. So again, that goes back to having facilitators that are in integrity. They are aware of their wounds, so that they are aware that they're not manipulating, using you for your money, whatever it may be. Because again, even people who might do that, they might not even be aware.
Yeah, absolutely. We're interrupting this episode to share something close to our hearts, our virtual healing circles. We have been loving them so much and meeting so many of you incredible people through them. Brittany and I are passionate about bringing people together to support one another and heal in community. We felt alone on our paths for so long, and coming together in community has been instrumental to our growth, and we've both seen the importance in it. We aren't meant to do this alone. In unity and vulnerability, we find strength, courage, and support each other on our paths back to ourselves. Our monthly virtual seminars blend discussions, workshops, and practices to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Whether seeking guidance, healing, or a listening ear, our gatherings offer a safe, inclusive space for people to connect, heal, and grow. Join us on this journey of healing in community. Together we can heal, grow, and thrive. Register for the next circle using the link in the show notes. We hope to see you there. Yeah, so it's just being mindful and having so much respect for these plants, because even microdosing is a really big thing now. And I feel like microdosing is a beautiful thing. It can really help you open up to your emotions and like really, you know, again, help bring that connection back to yourself, because it's all about you hold the power. These plants are just helping you remember and helping break down those barriers so you can like feel again and come back home to yourself again. But really treating them like the sacred medicine that they are, praying with them, like being so intentional, like having intention when you take these things, not just taking them and you know, go. It's like the intention behind everything is so incredibly important. And I just feel like the more respect, the better. Like for me, I just treat these plants with the utmost respect, and I just want that. I want that to become the norm.
Yeah, same. I'm the same. I mean, I always say a little prayer, intention, you know, I make a ceremony out of it, even when I like microdose. And one thing I do feel called to mention, like for me, when I was, you know, using it as a bit of an escape, it was mainly microdosing. You know, with my journeys, I did it, you know, farther out or whatever, but I use the microdosing as an escape. I would do it like every 3 days if I could, like, you know, like really craving that. It would be a microdose with a little bit of weed to enhance it a little bit. So it wasn't like a full-blown journey, but it did alter my state slightly. And it was me I was trying to escape the real world. So it's just being mindful that, you know, of course it can happen with like the big journeys, but it can happen with like the microdosing as well.
Yeah, it's just as anything like that, escaping, like, and if it's not microdosing or what you were just talking about, people escape with food or with alcohol or whatever it may be. It just becomes another dissociative in a way. Which thank you for sharing, because I'm sure so many people can resonate with that too. It's just like really being honest with yourself with these things, because it's like we can become dependent on them just like anything else. You know, and then it can become dark. It's like anytime you're dependent on anything, it has to have a balanced approach, because it can get dark real quickly. You know. So it's just like knowing that you hold the power, you have everything you need within you, and trusting that if you're meant to do the plants, like they will find you, and really vetting the facilitators, trusting yourself. If something feels off day of, really sitting with that. Is that your ego trying to protect you, or is it because something genuinely feels off and you should not be attending this? It's like really learning how to trust yourself during that process as well.
100%. And one thing that I do feel called to say, since, you know, we're talking about this, I remember before my first ayahuasca ceremony, I was like I got sick, like physically my body was sick. And I realized, you know, it is medicine. And I realized that my ego was so fearful that my body was getting sick to try to like prevent me from going to ceremony,
protect you from seeing what you needed to see.
Exactly. And I just, with, you know, because like sometimes it's easy before ceremony, you are going to be nervous, you know what I'm saying? You're nervous if you might get sick, whatever it may be. That doesn't necessarily mean, oh, it's a bad energy. So it's
exactly.
That's the only reason why I feel called to bring that example up. But it's trusting yourself, getting clear on that. And letting it find you.
And just making sure you have people that you can talk to about these things, because it can be really tough. And it can really alter how you view the world, maybe how you view yourself for a bit, but it always is for your highest and greatest good. Whatever you see is always for your highest and greatest good, but it's really important to have people that you can really lean on to help you interpret what came through.
And something I feel really called to say, I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but often, especially through the plants, they communicate with us through metaphors. It's not literal. It can be really easy for your ego to try to make sense of whatever experience you experience through your journey. So it's really being okay with maybe not fully understanding it, letting the ego go, because again, often these are metaphoric, and if your ego tries to make sense of it, it can skew the message and alter it in a darker way. You know, I know, like for me, like it can feed the ego, like, oh, this is what happened, and really it's like, okay, no, like it wasn't necessarily that.
Deeper understanding, I feel like, comes later.
And later too, it's like you don't get all the answers right away. Like, we'll do ceremony, and then like literally a few months later, a year later, it's like I get even more clarity on whatever particular journey. So it's okay if you're, you experience like a journey and you're confused. Don't try to find the answers. Just trust that they will come when you're ready to receive them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And as we're talking about this too, I just want to make it clear there are so many beautiful facilitators out there that are really putting their lives on the line because they really love and know the beauty and power of this medicine. Like, specifically the facilitators I've worked with, I'm so incredibly grateful that they are in integrity and really teaching me what it means to be in integrity. I just feel like I just want to really acknowledge that, because since it's not regulated, a lot of these people are putting their lives on the line because they know the power of these plants and the healing effects of these plants. So I want to make that so incredibly clear. There are people that are really in integrity and doing this work from such a beautiful heart-centered space. And I just have so much respect for them, and I'm so grateful. But it's always just being really mindful, really mindful about who you're trusting with these things, and making sure that the group is like smaller, because I've been getting this reoccurring dream about like ayahuasca ceremonies where there are hundreds and hundreds of people, and it's way too much energy, and it can be that the energy of the group is really important. Like, if there's too many people, it's too much energy. So just being really intentional about and mindful of how many people are in the group, because I feel like the more and more plant medicine picks up, like the groups may get bigger, but it's being really mindful, because how many people it's an energy, like everyone there, it's like you can really feel other people's energy, especially if you're sensitive. So you're opening your energy up too. Yes. Yeah. So I really encourage you to be mindful. Smaller groups are like better than larger. Honestly, I really feel just for me personally, I just like the smaller groups are just like more manageable and less energy. So just be really mindful if you are going to any type of ceremony, like asking the facilitators how many people will be there, because honestly, the smaller the better. Like the ceremonies we sit in, it's like at most there was like the biggest one was like 20 people. 20, and there was 3 facilitators. With 3 facilitators, and that was for 20 ayahuasca. But typically the groups with 2 facilitators are around 8 to 12. For us, people. Those are what we sit in. And that's like, and the battery's about to die on that too. And that is what feels good, honestly. But like, trust yourself with that too. But so I just want to have a balanced approach when it comes to that, because I know we talk about it all the time, and I'm just wanting to be really mindful, because we don't want to lead somebody in the wrong direction. So I think just like, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, just acknowledging all of it. Be aware. One thing I just want to say, like, if you're like, how do I know if the medicine's going to find me? So I started feeling the call to Mother Aya in January, and I put out the message. I said, okay, Mother Aya, if you're calling me, I would love to gift myself a ceremony for my 30th birthday. This was like when I turned 30 last year. And literally that month I got invited to like 4 different ayahuasca ceremonies. I didn't go to all 4, but like it came to me specifically for my birthday month. So it'll find you. Same with psilocybin. It's been gifted to me. It came to me. So if you're curious, put it out there. And if it's meant to come to you, it will. But we are highlighting so many other forms of, EMDR therapy, Reiki, like all of these different forms. There's so many out there. Holistic healing. I'm a holistic health coach, so I'm very much into just like, holistic living, having that balanced approach with Eastern and Western medicine as well. But we just wanted to highlight that for this episode. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But we just, I felt really called to talk about that. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We love you. If you have any questions, please let us know too. We're happy to dive into any deeper topics around this too. Send us an email. And with that, we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye. As we wrap up today's episode, we want to extend our deepest gratitude for joining us on this journey. Your support does not go unnoticed. If you enjoyed this episode and find value in our conversations, please take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also allows us to reach more people who can benefit from our community of healing and support. Every review, every rating makes a difference. Thank you for being a part of the Multiple Truths Podcast family. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Multiple Truths Podcast. Keep speaking your truth and spreading your light. We love you, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.